Welcome to Friendly Frequencies, a podcast that will revolutionize your journey to greatness. My name is Carmen McLeod. I am traveling the world as an artist, tour guide, and life coach, documenting the powerful lessons that I learn about myself and what it takes to live a life of true happiness and freedom. Living outside the bounds of my comfort zone has brought me more joy and abundance than I ever could have imagined, and I aim to push you a bit further out of your comfort zone with each episode. Thank you for joining me on this journey of transcendent transformation. Hello everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Friendly Frequencies podcast. So this week I'm going to be talking about habits, how to reset your habits, and this has been an episode I've been excited to make for quite a long time. And I have now a lot of good data to share with you that I've gathered myself just from my own experience. And now I feel like I'm really ready to talk about it. So let's get right into it. This is about a habit reset. So first things first, my intention for this episode is to share the tools for successful habits and to also give hope to anybody that might be struggling with addiction. And I personally have struggled with addiction before, and obviously not to the point of being, to the point of being homeless or, any of like the really extremes of that. But of course, everybody in the world has struggled with addiction, and I think everybody is addicted to something, and it's very hard to completely eliminate that, right? But I have struggled with addiction to a far higher extent than I am in now. And so I want to share some tools to help you with that. And so on this episode, I'm going to talk about the study that I've probably told like hundreds of people about this study because it's actually kind of the foundation for what helped me and what gave me the inspiration to try this out for myself. So which is like how to reset your habits very easily, and how to get rid of any habits that you don't want to be doing anymore, and how to add habits onto your daily routine and your daily life that are going to, bring you to where you want to go in life and give you a life filled with excellence and success. So I'll go on and tell you about the study. Just a brief version of the study. It's a study by Lee Robbins, and it is about the U.S. soldiers that went to war in Vietnam, and about 34% of them used heroin out there and got addicted to heroin. As they returned home, only 1% of them was re-addicted, or I guess remained addicted to heroin. Only 1% out of that 34. And the reason for this is because of the new environment that they're in. So they went out to war, they got addicted to heroin. And that is the environment in which they got addicted to heroin. So as soon as and this is another part of the study, I believe, or maybe, I believe I heard this somewhere, basically that when they went back to, if they ever went back to war or went back to Vietnam, then the addiction resurfaced. But as soon as they went home, it's not there. So my interpretation of that is, okay, so basically when I go back home, say for in my own life, when I go back home to Vancouver, chances are I'm going to re-begin any habits, good and bad habits that I was doing before, because it's the environment that I began it in. So that kind of really, that study stuck with me, and it was so interesting because I thought, oh, okay, well, I'm going traveling. I've now been traveling for a year and a half. So I'm constantly going to new environments. So lucky for me, I can reset my habits very often, and it's much easier for me. So I'm going to talk to you a bit about my habit reset journey, and it's all based on this new environment knowledge that I gained. So when I came, actually, full circle moment, because when I came to Thailand, which is where I currently am now, but when I first started traveling, this is where I went, here in Thailand and to Koh Phangan, where I'm now living. And it was when I came here that I can't remember if I was being intentional about this or if I knew about this study at the time. I don't remember when I learned about this study. But either way, when I came here, I wasn't smoking. I was still drinking and stuff, partying, whatever. But I remember I was vaping at home. And when I came here, I was a little worried, like, how is it going to be? Is it going to be hard for me to stop? Maybe I didn't know about the study at the time because I thought I was a little worried about it. But when I came here, it was really not hard. I didn't vape and I didn't really care to. So I thought, oh, that's so interesting. And then, so fast forward to when I got to the Philippines. Okay, let's just fast forward a few countries because I'm sure my habits changed between each country, but the most significant examples are the ones I'll just give now. So fast forward a few months, I go to the Philippines. Between there, actually, I will talk about how I went home. So I went back home for a month in this year and a half. So about 5 months in, I went home. And I when I went home, I think I started up some of the habits again. I didn't get too crazy, but I think I was vaping a bit when I got home. I was still doing the same things. And so when I went to the Philippines from home, I was aware of this habit reset. I remember this. This is when I really started thinking about it, was this habit reset. So I thought, okay, what do I want to start doing and stop doing? And I remember getting to the Philippines, and the first month I was unstoppable. Like, it's kind of how I feel now, which I'll get to, about how I've just been really intentional about my habits. But when I got to the Philippines, like, I was living like a monk one day I was literally living like a monk. I did this Buddhist cleanse that I made a podcast episode about. But for the whole month, I was not, but for the whole month, I was doing very well with my habits. I was getting up at 5 a.m. I was going to bed at like 8 or 9 p.m. I was not drinking, not smoking, none of that. Only eating home-cooked food that was from the farm I was living at. And my morning routine, yoga every day, journaling, reading. I was even working on my left eye because I actually have an eye that doesn't really work or see very well. It's out of my left eye, and it's just always been that way. It's never been able to be fixed. But I was actually working on my left eye, like doing eye exercises every day. Like just reading out of that eye with the really big font on my Kindle. And okay, I would love to say that those habits lasted me all throughout the Philippines, but they did not. So it does take a lot of discipline to continue those habits, right? So, and I will admit, I didn't have the discipline to keep that level, that caliber of habits the whole time. However, I did continue my morning routine, and I didn't go back to vaping until much later, maybe 4 or 5 months later, which I'll get to. And so about half of it stuck, but I didn't, I wasn't getting up at 5 a.m. every day in the Philippines and all of that. I would love to have, but anyways. But the point is that it was so easy for me to make that lifestyle shift. It was a pretty drastic lifestyle shift from when I was home to getting to the Philippines, and it was so easy not to vape, not to do anything like that. So the whole month I did like a sober October, and anyway, so it was very easy. Also, the environment I was in was very easy. There's nobody partying. It was just like I was living on a farm. Like there's not much to do in the evening anyways, so it was very easy. I'm going to quickly interrupt the episode to talk to you about the new company I'm working for called Digital Nomad Adventures. This is a startup company in Thailand, and we will be opening up in other parts of the world. And it is for people who are or who want to be digital nomads, entrepreneurs, or just anybody looking to develop your mindset. Each day we focus on a different area of personal development, such as manifestation, goal setting, vision, getting out of your comfort zone. And it's 9 days of masterminding, of networking with people who are like-minded, who want to travel the world and be your own boss and live financially free anywhere in the world that you want, all while being personally life coached by me on the tour and enjoying all of the fun activities that go along with doing a guided tour in Thailand. We even invite you to come stay in Koh Phangan after and join our community of digital nomads there. So that's where I will be living. So If you're interested and you want to sign up for one of our tours, you can use the code FRIENDLYFR for a discount off of your tour, and you can find this at digitalnomadadventures.com. So that's my example from when I got to the Philippines. Okay, so then I will fast forward about 4 months. Let's say 4 months, 5 months. And I went up north of the Philippines to a place called Sagada. Highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite places in the Philippines. But the thing I love most about it is it felt like I was back home in Canada. So I felt like I was back in my environment that I was used to. The cold air. It was not humid up there. It was actually quite cold, like really cold at night. During the day it was warm, but it felt like Canada warm, like very dry air and just really clean, and like it just felt so nice. And I didn't know it would be like that up there. There was pine trees. So pine trees, cold air, just like the smell of it, the feel of it was like I was in Canada. And I was freaking out when I first arrived. It was in Baguio that I first arrived, so also up north, and I was just like completely mesmerized by the way the environment was there, because it was so familiar to me and I was not expecting that. So as much as this was so blissful to be in this environment, and one of the most memorable experiences, that I spent like 1 week just alone and meditating and driving a motorcycle through the mountains, and it was absolutely one of the most memorable experiences. However, one of the things that happened was the habit reset thing worked out not in my favor. It actually, the opposite happened. So along with this habit reset is that you need to be careful when you go back to the environment that you're used to. It's more easy that you're going to fall back into the habits that you're used to from that environment. The thing is, you guys, like, it's actually so much about the environment. That's the whole point of this episode, is like it's really a lot to do with the environment. So when you're hanging out with people who you used to be in these like when you were doing these habits and you were hanging out with these people, or addicted when you were with these people, when you're with those people again, it's more likely that you will start up doing it again. Same with the environment that you're in. So although I was never in Sagada before, it felt like Canada, so I started vaping again. And I didn't realize until, I don't know, a few weeks later or something, that wow, I think I started vaping again because I felt like I was back home. I was shocked. Like, this really proves it, okay? Because I was already thinking about it like that, and I already had this belief. But I was like, well, this is like I just conducted my own study by accident. So that led to me vaping again for another, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 months after that. And so not great. And I knew, and I was thinking about it, like, am I really going to do this again? Like, and I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to surrender to this. I'm not perfect, and I'm going to make it easier on myself and wait until I get to India and reset my habits then, or whatever the country was going to be at that time, because I don't think I knew I was going to go to India. But I thought, okay, I knew that I had this like 4 months off of tour guiding, and I knew I would leave the Philippines, and I thought whatever country I go to, that's when I'll be resetting the habits again. And that's exactly what I did, with ease. So I reset the habits when I went to India. And so what happened there was two major resets that I did. No vaping. So I stopped vaping and I became a vegetarian. That was just a random decision. I wasn't actually planning to do that. But since then, I've actually been a vegetarian. I haven't, or I guess turned into pescatarian, because I decided, no, I'm not giving up my spicy tuna rules. Sorry. So I'm pescatarian now. But anyways, throughout my time in India, I was vegetarian completely. And then now, fast forward to the present. I'm in Thailand. I've been here 1 week, living here. And so the habits that I began here are, I just like really started kicking more ass in my morning routine. So I've always been doing my morning routine. I haven't always been perfect. Of course, some days I miss it. Some days I just do like a really quick one. For the most part, I've been doing my morning routine every day for the last year or so, year and a half, I don't know, since I've started traveling, to varying degrees of excellence, I'd say. And now I would say it's similar to when I first arrived in the Philippines. It's like now is when I'm in the most excellence that I have ever done my morning routine. So this last week, every day I've been spending at least an hour in my morning routine. I've been getting up on my first alarm, for the most part, getting up on my first alarm. I was also I'm not having any substances during the week, so I already don't really drink much anymore. That's just kind of a overall lifestyle shift that I've had over the last year, basically since, being in the Philippines. I've just noticed that I don't really enjoy drinking. Just alcohol doesn't really do it for me, but I do love to party still. So I still dance, still party, still smoke weed every now and then, especially now that I'm in Thailand. It's way more accessible. So that's the part that I need to be cautious about. So I know that drinking's not a problem for me, but I do want to be cautious about how often I'm smoking weed right now that it's so easy for me to do. So I thought, okay, only weekends, and I'm sticking to my word. So I'm very conscious of my integrity levels out here and with myself, right? I'm holding integrity with myself. When I tell myself I'm going to do something, I'm doing it. For example, this morning was the first morning that I decided I'm going to start running in the morning at sunrise. So getting up at 5:30 a.m. And I knew how hard it was going to be to get up on that first alarm and to get up and go for a run when I haven't ran in probably 2 years. And let alone exercised in about 2 years. I knew how difficult this was going to be. And I decided that this is more about the mental part than it is about the physical. Because I need to be able to keep my word to myself. This is so important because if I'm going to tell myself that I'm going to go for a run at this time, I need to hold myself accountable, because here's the thing, and this is something that I heard from somebody not too long ago, and it really resonated with me. A lot of people, myself included, this has been the case before, a lot of people will take orders and make commitments to other people, say for a job that you're working. Your boss says you come in at this time and you leave at this time. So what happens? You arrive at this time and you leave at that time. You say you're going to be here at this time, and hopefully you do arrive at that time because that's the commitment you made. And usually you follow through with it because you don't want to break your commitment to your boss. So why will you not... Sorry, let me rephrase this. Why is the commitment to yourself any less valuable? As really, it should be just as or more valuable. So say you're going to tell yourself that you're going to run at this time in the morning, but then you don't do it. How many times have you made a New Year's resolution where you did not follow through with it? Because you are the only person holding yourself accountable. Therefore, it's actually easy to not hold yourself in integrity, because there's nobody that's going to punish you or make you feel bad except for yourself. And usually you will feel bad, but it's not about, it's just the thing is that other people, when they are holding us accountable, we tend to be more honorable with that. So when I heard that, I thought, wow, that's really powerful, because it's true. Why am I going to hold myself to a high standard to support somebody else's vision, but not to support my own? The commitments I make to myself should be the most important commitments that I make, because those are to support my own vision. This morning routine of mine is to support my own vision. And if I say I'm going to do it and then I don't do it, how is that going to show up in the rest of my life? It's going to. It probably already does show up in the rest of my life. So this is what I've been saying for a long time. It's not my quote, by the way, but it's what I've been saying and what I've been repeating for a long time, is how you do one thing is how you do everything. So this is why it's so important for me to stay on top of my habits, to reset my habits when I go to a new country. How you do one thing is how you do everything. I'll just let you sit with that for a minute. Whatever's coming to your mind right now, about something that you're doing, just a way that you're living your life. Let's say your morning routine. And I'll do another episode on morning routine to get more specific on what it is and how you can do it and things. But just think about how you started your morning this morning, even just this morning. How is that showing up in the rest of your life? Was it in excellence? Is there a morning routine? Well, there's always a morning routine. Just what is that morning routine? Do you wake up and do you check your phone right away? Do you wake up and immediately answer emails and immediately start your day with stress and overwhelm? How does that show up in the rest of your life? So this is why habits are so important. I've read the book Atomic Habits. I'm sure a lot of what I'm saying now probably has come from that book, honestly. It's been a while since I've read it, but it was very powerful and I highly recommend it. I think it's James Clear. But it's very important, the daily habits you do, and this mixes in with the compound effect, okay? So I'm going to mix up two books here that you should read. The Compound Effect, don't remember the author, but I think there's only one book called that. The Compound Effect and Atomic Habits. Both of them are basically talking about the same thing, is that the small decisions that you make on a daily basis compound into insurmountable results. Those compound into your dream life, or the life that you don't necessarily want to live. But all of these small habits that you're doing, these decisions you're making, remember, this is all a decision. Every habit you have is a decision. Every single day you make a decision to continue a habit that you want or that you don't want. So how are these small decisions adding up every single day? And what is that going to look like in 20 years from now? I remember my brother was on the podcast many months ago, and he talked about 1 beer a day. I think he talked about this. 1 beer a day for 20 years. Well, 1 beer a day, no problem. It's just 1 beer. But 1 beer a day for 20 years, what's that going to do to your liver? To your mind, the clarity of your mind, Just like 1 joint a day, for example. 1 cigarette a day, anything. And even something that is not tangible, like 1 negative thought a day. Or should I say negative affirmation, like speaking negatively to yourself. 1 every single day for 20 years. Or 1 positive affirmation, telling yourself you love yourself every single day. Imagine, for 20 years, if you told yourself every day that you loved yourself, that compounds into some, again, insurmountable results of just being love. At that point, you're going to be and radiate love, because that is what you've been speaking to yourself this whole time. So that's my new living life in excellence update of my morning routine but just overall about the habits and the backsliding that I've experienced, and the trial and error that I've gone through around creating successful habits and a successful lifestyle for myself. And I just want you to know, it's not always going to be your habits just get better and better and better, and you just get more and more successful, and it's so easy, and this and that. It's, if it's anything like me, and I don't know how it's going to be for you or for anybody else. Everybody is different, but for me, it's kind of like a roller coaster. My habits are going to be excellent, and usually it's when I arrive somewhere. Okay, I got fire under my ass. I'm like, okay, I just set a really powerful vision for this new place that I'm in. What are my goals? And I'm just getting really clear about the vision and what I'm going to create for myself. So of course, like when I get to a new country, then it's like really, really rocking, and I'm really rocking because I'm excited about it. So I guess the part where I need to work, and that is, likely that everybody needs to work, is the discipline to continue that. Keep the consistency, keep the compound effect going and rolling, because it's not going to work just for me to have this type of drive and integrity with myself only when I arrive to a country and for the first week or 2 weeks or month. I need to continue it. Imagine if I could have this fire all the time. Also, allowing space for, yes, I'm not going to be perfect every day. Actually, I'm never going to be perfect any of the days. But some days I'm going to miss my morning routine, and some days I'm going to have to do a 5-minute one still. And I'm going to allow that. I'm not going to allow that to I'm not going to allow that to take away from the progress I've made and to say, oh, now I'm backsliding and now I'm back at zero. No, I'm just going to allow it and not judge any of it and just be proud of myself for recognizing it and doing better tomorrow. That's the thing. Do better tomorrow, but remember that there's no better day and there's actually no other day than today. So when I say let's do better tomorrow, really, how can I just be better right now? Is a better way to say that, because tomorrow doesn't even exist. And so that's just a constant thing that I'm keeping in my mind is right now, right now, right now. Where am I right now? How am I feeling right now? What's my body telling me right now? So now I guess we're getting into another kind of topic. So I'll end it there, and I will talk more about that because that's a really powerful topic. But I have talked about that a lot recently, just about the power of right now and being present. So I will leave you with this question. What will your next habit reset look like, and by when? My favorite question, by when? I love asking people by when because it's, one, I love to ask people what's your vision, what's your dreams, what are your goals, what do you want in life? And then when I hear about it, and then I ask them, okay, by when? It's not like I'm setting them up for it. It just ends up happening that way. It's like, I just love to hear, or if just anytime someone's telling me about something that they want to do, I just ask them, by when? Now, that doesn't mean that you're bound to this. This is something I always make sure I tell each person is. It doesn't mean you're bound to it. If it doesn't work out this way, that's okay. You're not breaking your word. But setting a by when is being very intentional and giving your mind something to strive towards. Giving your mind a vision and an actual date, a tangible date. It's kind of like with the SMART goals. Having it be time bound, it just brings it into fruition so much quicker. And if you just have this idea in your mind that one day you're going to do it, it's going to pass you by. Years and years and years are going to pass you by, and you're not going to do it because you never set a date for when you would do it by. So of course you're going to postpone and procrastinate, and I've experienced that as well. So set yourself a by when. What is your next habit reset? So what do you want to let go of, and what do you want to add to your, just to your daily habits? And be very specific, and you don't need to add so many. Like, also just be mindful that adding a few habits and taking a few habits away, if you do too many, it could be overwhelming, and then you might not do it. So really, the key here is the consistency. Even just take away one habit, add one habit, whatever you want. Even just doing that and doing it every day, I think is much better than trying to add 5 and take away 5, because chances are you're not going to do that. Now, some people I know have the discipline to do that. Shout out to my friend Axel right now, because he's doing the 75 hard challenge, and he's more than halfway done, and he's done it every single day. If you don't know what that is, you can look it up, because it's not really relevant right now. But every single day he's done it, and it's like a very, very intense, like adding so many habits and taking so many habits away, like super intense. And he's done it every day. So some people, now I've not met many people that have the discipline that he has. Actually, I don't think I've ever met somebody that has that to the extent that he does. So for the majority of people, it's better just that you can just add 1, take away 1. For meditation, if you want to start meditating, just add 5 minutes to your day. Don't add 1 hour to your day. Much better to start small, but keep the consistency. So that's just my advice there. So I'm going to repeat the question again. What will your next habit reset look like, and by when? So when is this habit reset going to start? I recommend starting tomorrow. Now, when it comes to, say, an addiction that's been kind of a long-standing addiction, chances are a lot of you have, been addicted to vaping or drinking or whatever it is, food. If that's like a big thing in your life that you want to reset, think about, is there any time in the near future that you're going to be going to a new environment, even just for a weekend? Or can you plan for a weekend to go somewhere with the specific intention of, one, you can just have it as a vacation. Chances are you need one. And can you go and also intentionally go and drop the habit in this new environment? even spending that first 2 days in a new environment without doing it, it'll be so much easier than that first 2 days being in that environment in which you were addicted in. So when can you get to a new environment? Go to a new place. It doesn't have to be far from where you are at all. Just a new environment that you're not used to. And what habits do you want to reset then? And you also don't have to wait till you go. This is just the easiest way to do it. But if you're not planning to leave your place anytime soon, I still encourage you to have a by when of when you're going to reset your habits and what is it that you will do. And if that day is tomorrow, then good on you. Or even today. No better time like the present, you guys. But whatever you choose, I just want you to remember that it's you. The integrity lies with you, and to hold yourself in integrity. That this is not to please anybody else. This is not to be accountable to anybody else. There's not going to be anybody else holding you accountable. Unless you want to get an accountability partner, which is always great. But at the same time, it's really good to be able to practice holding yourself in integrity and doing what you say you're going to do. So, thank you for listening. And good luck with all of the intentional integrity that you're about to have with yourself. I'm really excited for you. I'm excited for myself as I'm continuing on this journey of, just living an intentional, powerful life every single day and following through on my commitments to myself. So thank you for joining me on this, and I'm really excited to hear about what habits you're putting down and what habits you're picking up in your life, and how that's going to affect you and how that already is affecting you. So please let me know how this impacted you, if it did, and I can't wait to talk to you more about the next powerful topic and whatever that's going to be next week. So thank you so much, and goodbye. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Friendly Frequencies podcast. I would absolutely love it if you could leave me a review on iTunes and also Spotify or wherever you're listening to the podcast through. And what I will do is, for anybody that leaves me a review and sends me a screenshot through Instagram, I will personally send you my 30+ hour playlist. This playlist is very special to me. It has been crafted by me for the last 3 years, and I've never met a person who does not love it. And this is just another way that we can be beautifully connected through creativity. So send me a picture of your review. My Instagram is Friendly Frequencies, and I cannot wait to share this music with you. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening and for supporting me along this journey. I appreciate you. I love you, and have a good one. I'll see you next week.